BIP 444 and the recent contentious soft fork to limit op size return and fix the inscriptions bug has caused a lot of concern with the plebs, right? A lot of us think, well, is this over for Bitcoin? Does this mean Bitcoin's price is going down? Is there going to be something illicit put on the blockchain and everyone's going to have to shut their nodes off? And what will this do to price, right? If you have all your wealth in this asset and you're thinking, what have I done? Maybe I should sell some of it. Maybe I should worry about the effects of all of this. I'm going to talk about what the previous history shows us, what some people are doing, and what my thoughts are, just generally. My name's Forrest Hodel. I'm a Bitcoin educator, and if you want to book a one-on-one session with me to go over best practices for Bitcoin and whatever other questions you have, you can do so through my link in the description to my website, pathtobitcoin.xyz. So this was kind of prompted to me by Start9, who I really respect. I respect Start9 Labs a lot. I run Start9. I've done some videos on them. They posted this on November 4th. They said, until a couple of weeks ago, Start9 had 100% of our treasury in Bitcoin. We sold some at 117K. Well, we've gone down from there. So, you know, maybe if they buy back, that's a good little swing trade for them. I'm sure that's not what they're thinking. But as soon as we understood a contentious soft fork was likely, while not solely responsible for recent decline, it will be a headwind for confidence and price until a resolution is reached. Now, I do agree with them that until a resolution, when a resolution is reached, that headwind will be taken off and we will likely see some green. Now, I'm going to take a look here at the Bitcoin price, and I've actually started here basically at the beginning of 2025. We'll actually just move that over. So I've started the price here at January 2015. This is largely what the time frame, so 2015 till late 2017, right about here. We'll just do the whole year, right? This is August 2017 all the way up. So we actually need to compress this a little. Well, we'll do that after. This is the block size wars. This is the contentious hard forks. This is Bitcoin XT. This is the Bitcoin Cash. This is all of that condensed into the 2-year block size wars. Now, what you can see here is Bitcoin was trading at the beginning of the year around $250. And at the end of the year, it's not even on screen here, but the end of the year, let's go December. Oh my God, we got to compress this even more. December 2017, the block size wars are essentially over, and we have this big volatility candle before a correction to the downside, but we are at 13,970. So again, the start here to the end, we are 6,500% up. Massive, massive amounts. Now, is this green here because of the resolution of these things? Not necessarily. And I think what we'll do here is we'll look a little closer at some of the price action during the tumultuous times, right? We can see we had a correction from here to here. That's 25% down. From that bottom to a local top, we were 100% up. And again, we're just climbing basically upwards with these corrections of, again, 25%, not too bad. Not sure exactly what happened in March of 2027 here, but a correction again, 25%. Corrections of 25% as climbing, and then massive runaway prices with corrections of 30, 40, 35% basically there. Another correction on the way up of wicking down to 35, but closing at 20. So this is a massive bull run with the ending of the block size wars, or largely seen as the end. There's, people probably throughout this time talked about it ending beforehand, but it was definitively over at the end of 2017. And you can see this has been a good time generally to own Bitcoin through this entire process of a very contentious block size wars. Now, what we're talking about here is first we were talking about policy change with knots. Now we're talking about a soft fork that has people disagreeing for sure, but has some people agreeing that were not pro knots, that didn't think the filters on the policy level was enough, that if we wanted to deal with spam, we'd have to deal with it on consensus. How contentious is this? Well, if you go on Twitter, it's pretty contentious. You'll have people like Shinobi talking really, negatively. You'll have a lot of people really talking bad about one side or the other. Now, what's interesting here is if you go to the mailing list, the Bitcoin mailing list, which you can join just as a normal person, this is where people are actually communicating at a technical level, talking about the pros and cons, how this would actually get implemented. And more so, actually, the technical stuff is happening here on the GitHub conversation on this new proposed soft fork, which is the BIP draft, which is a pull request at number 2017. Funny enough, end of the block size wars, 2017, and you can see pretty good discussion about, okay, well, let's describe this a little bit more. This is the actual the proposal. This person here is getting into just minor little things, right? Like, okay, well, this is wrong. What about this, right? So, and then people can reply to this person. There's actual debate going on here that is civil, and it's technical, and it is really showing that people are working on, will this work? Will it not work? This is why it's a problem. This is why it's a solution. And there's real debate going on here, and it's not name calling. It's not telling other people that they're liars, that they're feds, all this crazy stuff, right? So if you look on these places, this is where the decisions actually get made. This is where the discussion actually happens. Twitter, you're going to see, again, you're going to see people that don't know enough on either side just advocate for one side over the other, just on an emotional response off of information that they're being fed. It's a tumultuous place to be, and the plebs are scared, right? And the plebs are reacting, and it's a tough place to be a pleb right now. But I would just say that the question here, and the question was asked as well to Start9 as well, and actually right here, sold some for what, right? Inventory, RAM and SSDs, and enough fiat to pay the bills for 1 year. That is a very reasonable thing to sell your Bitcoin for, no matter what, regardless of the contentious soft fork. If you need stability in the short term, 1 year is short term. Bitcoin should be held for 4 years plus, right? If you need to buy parts for your business, if you need to pay bills, it's reasonable to do that with a fiat instrument that does not have the volatility risk. It has the debasement risk, and that's what we're avoiding by buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the safest thing you can have for long term, and dollars are the safest thing you can have for short term, or US dollars, right? So this irons out the volatility risk, doing this a certain amount to pay the bills for the next year and to buy hardware for their product. Makes a lot of sense, right? So that's the question you have to ask. If all this contentious stuff you're seeing on Twitter, on YouTube, is making you think, what have I done here by buying so much Bitcoin? I need to sell some. What are you selling for? And are you willing to miss out on the potential of the last contentious fork with Bitcoin? Because that was a fine time to be buying and holding. Of course, now it's insane looking at those prices. But even within there, that 2-year period had a 6,000+% gain. Insane, right? You could have been buying at any point along there. And of course, there was a correction, but let's look at that correction. What did that correct down to? It went from a high here of 18,000 to a low of 3,000, an 81% drop. Pretty devastating, and a decent amount of time. That's a whole year there. That's January 2018 to February 2019 until it started to correct up again. And it took a while before it went past the 18,000 mark. But when it did, it's starting, once we started zooming out with Bitcoin, I mean, this chart just gets ridiculous, right? Once we start zooming out and compressing and looking at where we are, this is that run up in 2017. Starts to like barely even draw your eye. This, you start to think, oh, there's nothing going on here. This is tons of gains happening all along here, but it's just in relation to where we are today, so little. So will this this action here from 2015, where it looks flat, and then only you only see the end, this headwinds here, is this what this is going to look like eventually? Is this what this is going to look like eventually? I believe so, because the dollar's being debased and Bitcoin is finite, and Bitcoin is on its adoption cycle, and it is the neutral monetary asset that everyone in the world needs, and almost nobody knows they need it yet. So I would just be cautious of selling even into this contentious soft fork because of a few different things. What are you selling for? Are you planning on getting back in, and will you time it correctly? Because once it takes off, it's pretty hard to get back in. And is it as contentious as you think it is? Will it even happen? There still needs to be enough proof of work behind a soft fork implementation for it to go through or not. Are the fears that the soft fork proponents that they have, are they actually enough to be problematic if the soft fork doesn't go through, right? There's so many variables here. And ultimately, there's no other asset like Bitcoin, even with the contentious soft fork going on. There's nothing else as good as Bitcoin. There's nothing as decentralized as Bitcoin. There is nothing as secure as Bitcoin. And it is the alternate monetary network that is being built and adopted. And anything else that pretends that it is lying. They're either lying to you or they're lying to themselves. They're either ignorant or malicious. And Bitcoin is the truth here. Bitcoin is the best. The Bitcoin is the best that we can that we can get. So is it worth selling? And for me personally, I'm not selling because of this. There's no way. I'm not shutting off my node because of this. I'm not selling because of this. I'm still on the fence of where I lean here with this soft fork. I'm still trying to take in information. I'm still, there's been a new draft, some changes, some things taken out that I actually really disagreed with. I didn't enjoy the legal language in there. The reactive soft fork seemed a little rushed to me to implement that way, and has the vulnerability of incentivizing a double spend attack. Anyway, if we go deeper into that, we recognize that the likely we're out of our depth. Even myself, I'm out of my depth here. But overall, you buy and hold Bitcoin for 4-year periods and you're better off from it. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. So I am not selling because of this contentious soft fork. I am just sitting on it, waiting, seeing what happens. Who knows what happens, and we'll go from there. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this puts some things in perspective so that you can make a clear decision without being emotional. I think the last thing you want to be here is emotional and contentious, right? The term contentious means that there's some conflict here, which is going to bring up emotions, right? And there's people slinging this information and that, and just watch your emotions in here, right? This is there's a lot of players out there in this battlefield that want to acquire your Bitcoin. You just need to be cautious of that. Self-custody as much Bitcoin as you can for as long as you can, and you will be better off for it. That is my opinion. That is what I'm doing. That is what I'm consciously doing. And therefore I'm telling myself that as well. So hopefully this was helpful again, and thanks everybody for watching. Again, if you want to book a session with me to cover Bitcoin basics, best practices, security, all that kind of stuff, you can do so through the link in the description. I have additional links in the description for the last Bitcoin exchange you will ever use Bitcoin well. It's the best in my opinion. There's also Coldcard, Start 9, 5% off of their hardware, 15% off of the Stampseed kit to preserve your seed phrase, 5% off of security or privacy devices through mark37.com, and everything you need as a Bitcoiner is down there. And there's discount links, there's promos for signups. everything you need. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next episode of Bitcoin Not Crypto.